6:13:51, and I will call this meeting to order. And Michelle, would you be our recording secretary?
Absolutely.
And would you call the roll for us?
Before we start, I just wanted to introduce Marianne Nealand, who's our new planning commissioner. And this is her first meeting, so welcome, Marianne, and thank you for volunteering to be on the board.
Thank you.
So, we don't have to really call roll,
Okay.
you just.
We have a quorum,
Yeah, you have
so
a
that's
quorum,
fine.
and Michelle has recorded
And-
which members are here.
And the next thing on our agenda is approve last month's minutes. And do we have enough to approve last month's minute with two people?
Yep, the city attorney has said that a member doesn't have to have been at the last meeting to vote on the minutes, because they are recorded, and so you do have the opportunity to watch them if you want. And it's basically just kind of checking for errors and that kind of thing. So Marianne is able to vote on the minutes, and so we have enough people to vote on the minutes.
I'll move, I was here.
Yep.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Approve.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Now here in new business, it says, welcome, Mary Ann.
Oh, sorry, Michelle.
Yeah, that's all right, that's
Yep.
all right, jumped
I
the gun.
jumped
Welcome again, there you go. Okay, the first order of new business is to consider a final plat of Liz 7, case number 2023-22 sub. Would you like to?
Bethany's gonna handle this one.
Okay, thanks, Bethany.
The subject property is owned by Kelly Liss, and the plat was prepared by Han Surveying. The applicant is requesting approval of a two-lot final plat located at 701 Chestnut Street and 710 South 7th. The proposed plat consists of two existing platted lots in the Clark and Reese subdivision, part of lots 1 and 2, block 37. The plat's being requested to adjust the lot line between the two existing lots and expand List 7 Lot 2, addressed at 710 South 7th. Staff recommends approval of the List 7 subdivision final plat.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the final plat application for List 7?
Move that the final plat application be approved.
Okay,
To
do
the
I have a
planning
Or if
second?
you wanna
Yeah,
hear,
do we?
Yeah, discussion.
yeah, if the applicant's here, you can ask if they have anything
Okay.
they want to add. They don't have to, but.
Oh, I'm
Is
sorry.
there anyone here for the?
Do
Mr. Mills?
Over there.
do you have anything to say?
No, I don't have any questions, anything.
Good.
All right,
Yeah, we're good.
all right, thank you.
That's all right.
And then just ask for like discussion amongst the commissioners about the plat.
Is there anything you got?
I didn't see, when I drove by, I didn't see anything that would, I think.
I didn't either.
The presentation, it meets everything. I mean, I didn't see any big concerns.
I didn't
And just to
either.
kind of explain what it is, it's the 701 and 710. Now the 701 is kind of that L-shaped lot, it's just sort of adjusting it so that it's two rectangular lots instead of that L shape.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Clean
And
it up a little bit.
it's, we can, is that building in use? Are those two in
The
use?
710 is going to be demolished, and they're gonna rebuild a new house.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it just makes a little bit of a bigger lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Any other comments by the commissioners? Do I have a motion to approve that final plat? And that was,
My motion still stands.
huh? Your motion still stands? Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, the next one is St. Casimir's Church final plat.
Okay, that's me, Bethany again.
The subject property, Sacred Heart St. Casimir Parish, plats prepared by Herring Surveying Company. The applicant is requesting approval of a 4-lot final plat for the St. Casimir Church subdivision at 719 Pennsylvania Avenue. The subject property is currently unplatted, and it's approximately 1.64 acres. Property is zoned R16, high-density, single-family residential, and includes mixed uses. Plat has been reviewed by the Public Works Department. All issues have been addressed. Staff recommends approval of the St. Casimir Church subdivision final plat. So it's, could you bring up the aerial? So the aerial is currently one parcel, with multiple buildings. The subdivision will, separate out some of the buildings into, individual lots.
It's the church building, and then I believe it's the old rectory that's now used as offices or, whatever they have in there, and then it was a preschool at one point, now it's the deeper window project, I believe it is, which is like an adult day center, for folks with dementia, and so they're just splitting out each of the buildings onto their own parcel.
And so right now, it's just that entire block.
Right.
Yep, that entire block is one thing, and it's never been platted.
Okay. And the advantage or disadvantage to this, to the city?
If they-
To changing this,
If they ever wanted to sell a part of the property, this would give them the ability to do just one of the buildings versus the whole
versus.
parcel.
Okay, yeah, but any liability or anything negative for the city that we have to consider?
from our standpoint.
It wouldn't change anything?
No,
It's not gonna change current operation of deeper windows or anything like that either, just,
Will they have to get permits for their operations? or-
nope, so they've already been through the whole process, I'm not sure if they're operating out of here currently, they had gone through to get, all the approvals that they need for that, so I'm not sure if what prompted this was maybe that they wanted to purchase that building, I'm not exactly sure.
Is there anyone here, that can speak to, okay, yeah, so we do have.
But yeah, so really it's just splitting out each of those buildings onto their own parcel. So parking requirements are still met, setback requirements are met with everything, there's really nothing that it affects from our end of things. Just for the church that owns the property, I think that clears some things up for them to move forward.
Is there anybody that would like to speak up?
We'll have you come to the microphone.
Go to the
so we can
microphone.
record it.
You can just,
system straight, lot 4 would be this
I am
L
Lauren
shape lot.
Mefford. I'm on the board for the deeper window. Basically, the reason that we are here is it's being split to where we are going to be purchasing the building that we're in currently, and then we will only get the 4 parking spots right out front. That will be a part of our purchase.
Okay.
And then the
Okay.
rest will belong to,
so that's all you need is those 4 parking spots?
well, St. Catherine, they will allow us to use the rest of the parking lot during our hours of operation, because
Okay.
it
But
doesn't
do you,
affect the church.
but do you have any ADA requirements on how many parking spots you have to have for your operation?
There's an existing ADA spot there, and so it meets it for building code
Okay.
purposes. For their functional purposes, they may need more with the folks that they serve, but, code requirements are met with
Okay.
what's left on that lot.
Okay, and,
And we are aware of any changes that we need to make once we purchase the building for our patrons.
okay.
What about your access for the parking lot? Because she mentioned, and they would all 3 be separate, and what if somebody sold one? What if they did sell that? Where's your access gonna be?
Yep, and so you might wanna add, but, so we've spoken with, the surveyor who did this, and they will need to have a cross-access easement, recorded for this, so that's pretty common with, situations where it's multiple buildings or uses, with one parking lot, that you would then just have kind
So
of
they
an
have a
access easement.
Driveway, common
Yeah.
driveway easement, right?
Yep, so there's the driveway off Pennsylvania on the north, and then the driveway off
Driveway on
Arthur
Arthur.
Street on the south. And so there will be an access easement, recorded to go with each of these, or I guess they'll be the only ones that don't have direct access to the parking lot where the deeper window project is, and so there'll be an access easement recorded for them to have legal authority to drive across that.
And that is stated on the plat.
Yeah,
That
that-
it would be
yeah.
recorded at a later date.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, good
A
question.
good, great question.
And that's good to know.
We all learned something.
Yeah. Is that all you need from me?
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do we have anybody that wants to talk for St. Caspers? I guess we're all finished then. So, I guess
Are
we,
those easements a
Pardon?
consideration of approval for this, or?
No, they're not a consideration of approval. There is a note on the
They have-
plat, it's hard to read,
It
it's
is.
pretty small, but if you zoom in, there is a note there that will be recorded.
Yeah.
But no, that's not anything that needs to be a consideration for approval.
So if the owner of lot 4, do they have an option to, or not to provide that easement?
How's it worded on the plat, let's see.
So that's a really weird
Any
configuration.
lot
easement
four,
needed
lot
for-
4 owns everything except lot 1.
So it says, any
This is
easements
Dale
needed for
Lawrence.
cross-shared access, parking, or utilities will be created and recorded at the Leavenworth County Register of Deeds by a separate instrument.
In other words, lot 4, 3,
Yeah,
and 2.
so then they-
are
so
owned
they
by
will-
St. Casimir's.
Have to be recorded.
All the lots except lot 1 are owned by St. Casimir's. They're all owned by St. Casimir's now.
Yep.
But they're
at this point.
purchasing lot 1.
Only.
Well,
right now
but,
they-
but for right now, it's all one owner.
Right.
And so it would only be at such time that there's a separate owner that an
Yeah,
easement
we
would
don't
be
even
needed.
need to consider
Yeah.
what it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's just,
So they're just trying to replat so they have an opportunity to sell
Yeah.
with common driveway
Yeah,
easements.
right now it's all one owner, and, you know, not to say that this deal would fall through, but real estate deals fall through all the time, and so those are not part of a consideration for any sort of approval.
sure, all right. And no one here from St. Casimir represent? Okay.
Okay. So, I guess we can move forward.
One last question, any, when you sent out the letters, no letters for
We
this?
did, or there were letters, but we didn't hear.
Oh,
Nothing
plats,
about it.
plats don't have to be, plats are not a public hearing, so we don't have to provide notification.
Because
Alright.
they don't, yeah.
Yeah.
They're-
So I'll move to, recommend approval for the St. Casimir Church subdivision final plat.
As shown.
Ashley?
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Thank
you.
you from,
Thank you all.
what is,
I
what
apologize
is,
again.
what is the name of the operation?
The Deeper Window Association.
Deeper window? Okay. Thank you. All right, huh? Yes, there you go, good deal. Okay, the next one, we'll have a little movement. All right, the next one is a request for a final plat of Whispering Hills West.
Okay, thank you. So as I said, this is a final plat of Whispering Hills West. Property is all owned by Laura Fowler. The plat was prepared by Herring Survey. The applicant's requesting a replat of lots 20 through 35 of Whispering Hills replat Phase 1, which if you're looking at the screens, basically these long skinny lots up here that are undeveloped, and then this larger parcel to the south, and I'll turn on the aerial so we can see. So that, it's basically all of this undeveloped wooded land west of the Whispering Hills subdivision as it was built out. It's a total of about 80 acres, and as I said, it's all currently vacant. They are requesting the plat for the purposes of combining all of this into 2 separate larger lots, so they can build a house on one of those and then leave another larger lot for potential future development. This plat also will include the vacation, will vacate the undeveloped portion of that Hebelin Drive right-of-way, that was platted there, and then again, never developed, never built out as a road. So the original plat for this was originally approved and recorded in 1987, and then for whatever reason was just never developed and built out as part of the rest of the subdivision. So the Development Review Committee reviewed this on August 3rd. There were a number of items discussed, including sewer connection and the need to construct a hammerhead turnaround point at the termination of the existing Hebelin Drive up there on the north, so that any folks coming this way will not reach a dead end where they can't get backed out. All of the items that were discussed with the applicant by staff have been addressed on the plat. So I'll bring up the plat. So, let's see. It's a little bit hard to tell just because it's such a large area, but, so there's the one larger lot up at the north, where
Right.
the applicant intends to build a home, and then the rest remains as, a second lot, future development, to be determined on that. And so there is access to this lot, with, what is that, Viola Street down there, at the south, so all requirements are met on that. So if you have any questions for me, I can answer those, and the applicant and owner is here as well.
I do have a few questions.
Well, is there anything from the owners of the property? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Just, would you like to say anything, or just,
My name is Laura Fowler. I moved here recently, and I would love to answer your questions.
okay.
My question first was for the city. There's a lot of discussion about when is a hammerhead required. So can you break that down? When is it required, and why does that play into the factor here? What makes that important?
So that's really a requirement of our Public Works Department. So the intent is that so we don't end up with a dead-end street
Sure.
that just leads into someone's private driveway. So for anybody that might come down Hebelin Drive, and so the plat starts here with this first vacant lot to the west of, what is that, 2406?
And I'll be
Yeah.
transparent, and I live in this neighborhood
Yep,
as well.
I remember.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, so again, so the intent is really just so you don't end up with a dead-end street that then leads into an individual's private driveway, so that folks who may end up on this portion of the street aren't having to turn around in someone's private driveway. So since that right-of-way was platted, then we go on the assumption that that will be built at some point. Once that's vacated and that development plan is abandoned for all intents and purposes, then we're looking at providing some sort of turnaround. So as long as that was platted and there were lots there, someone could have come in and purchased those, built it out, have that road continue on, have lots and a development. So I would assume that's why it wasn't required at the time that the rest of this subdivision was developed. Now that the Fowlers have purchased it and are essentially, vacating those lots and that right of way, now we know that that's not gonna happen, and so this Hebelin Drive is just ending there, and then their driveway will come off at some point, and we don't want people ending up down on their driveway.
So you just have
Confused
like
or-
a cul-de-sac turnaround right there?
What's that?
You have like a turnaround right there?
So a hammerhead is just, sometimes you'll see kind of like on your driveway, you might
Scroll
just
down
build
just a little bit to 25th Street. There you go.
down.
Yeah.
Does someone down here have one?
Oh, I thought.
Can you go north on 24th?
I thought.
That has a little bit of a turnaround.
Up here. So, so there's some pavement just kind of coming out, so enough for someone that if they pull in, they can get backed up into it and turn around, again, without having to come onto someone's private property or down someone's private driveway to turn around.
And that would be at the city's expense to do that, or?
Nope, that's at the property owner's expense, so just like if a developer came in and purchased this property and was going to develop it as lots in a road, building that road would be at the developer slash owner's expense,
Right.
and so this is kind of the same way.
Okay.
And so the hammerhead, I know Public Works has discussed it with Ms. Fowler, it can really be, you know, asphalt, it's not anything that has to be a major, you know, curbs and gutters and, you
Is
know,
it
this and that.
defined anywhere? I couldn't find like an actual definition for it, you know, there was discussion
Yeah.
for it, but I couldn't find an actual definition of what satisfies a hammerhead.
And that's really, I think, kind of at the discretion of the Public Works Department,
Okay.
kind of dependent upon the situation. So for something like this, where there's not gonna be a high volume of traffic, that's gonna require something less than you might have on a street that's gonna have more cars coming through.
Are there other ways to access the property, other easements?
So again, just through Vilas Street dead ends there. So down here, since there was no right of way platted through there, there's no right of way that they're vacating, so Public Works isn't requiring a hammerhead turnaround there since that was already kind of the termination of right of way.
So it doesn't look like there'd be too many going out Vilas there. And where's the other hammerhead again? It's,
And that's gonna be required up here
Oh,
at the end of
up there,
Heveland.
yeah.
Down, yeah, down south of Vilas, yeah, just right there.
Yeah.
That's kind of technical.
Oh, were you talking
Well,
about
it's,
down
yeah,
here?
it's kind
Oh.
of like cul-de-sac type thing.
Yep, so
Where
that
you
was
got-
built out as a little bit of a cul-de-sac,
It's
obviously
got a little
that's-
curve too, but not much, but enough to turn around, okay.
Yeah, obviously that's gonna be something much more involved
Right.
and expensive
But
that
that's
just,
not what we're, that's
that's not
what
what's
we're
being asked for. No,
asking
nope,
to be put in, just to get a driveway in there that's already there, okay. And then as far as the actual sections, this is reducing all of those to what, 4? Is that correct?
it'll be two lots.
Two lots.
Yep, one, up there off Heveland, and then the remainder as one separate lot.
Yeah.
And it's not zone agriculture or anything?
No, it's all that same residential that the rest of the Whispering
But it
Hills
just
is.
hasn't been platted for lots.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
This one big, you don't go buy that big lot. Did we answer or confuse you completely, or did you want to say anything to us that you were for or against, or you're for this, or?
Sir, I appreciate hearing the dialogue. My only request would just, from an equitability standpoint, that others are having the same standards applied. And I know we talked about, in the DRC, another residential area that had similar, requirements placed on them. We have, having been here a few months, have the opportunity to see a few other neighborhoods that seem to have had a similar situation. I live on 17th Street, for example, where my neighbor bought 17th, not to be confused with 17th Terrace, they're right next to each other. But my neighbor bought essentially 5 acres and did essentially the same thing. And we mapped it out, it's equal to what we're doing, and there's no hammerhead there with that house having been built in 2020. So, full disclosure, I personally would prefer not to spend my money on public land, but I will if that's what I need to, if that's what the collective believes is the right thing to do. I absolutely will follow and be happy to do whatever is needed, but just on a sheer basis of cost, I would prefer to spend money on my house and the land than on concrete, so.
That area, just as it is right now, is hard to turn around. And I wish we had a picture. It's, there's 2 houses just right before that gate, 2 or 3 houses, I think, but they're pretty set back. And then and they usually park, they often park, there on the street too.
Yeah, there's a car out there in this area.
So it really is, however, when you're at that 4-way stop, you can kind of see that the road doesn't go any further there. So you can kind of turn around in a pretty wide four-corner.
And simply from precedence, the neighborhood's been there for decades, so, if it hasn't been a problem so far, I have trouble seeing it being a huge problem, with one more house. But again, like, I acknowledge there is benefit in turnaround, so again, if that's what the committee decides, then,
And there's no definition of what it is. So if we approve the.
So the requirement for a hammerhead is really not something for the planning commission.
Sure, yes.
That's totally something that's being requested by the Public Works Department, so that request is not part of this plat for the planning commission to
That's-
consider or vote on.
That's the only reason I asked,
Yeah.
is because that it is part of.
Yeah, there's no
What
extra
we're-
right of way being requested or anything like that, it's not part of the plat. The hammerhead is part of the development of these resulting lots, and so that's gonna be a requirement of Public Works, that be done. It is not related to the actual plat that the planning commission is considering.
So that could be taken out completely by the city commission, or?
No, this doesn't go to the city commission, so since there's no right of way, being dedicated with this,
Okay.
that's not for the city commission to determine. Again, it's a requirement by our Public Works Department. And so that is something that's, again, their requirement and that needs to be worked out with that department.
But we're being asked to.
Just approve the.
Just
Just
approve
approve
the,
the
the two lots on this plat.
Recommend that the city approve.
This doesn't go.
No, so the planning commission is the approving body for a final plat.
Okay.
So we are approving this final plat for Whispering Hills West, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
I move that we approve the final plat for Whispering Hills West.
okay, do I have a second?
I second that.
Do I? James, how do you vote?
Yay.
Mary Ann?
Yay.
Aye. Motion passes, no negative votes. Thank you
for your
for
time.
you speaking up.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm just curious, what
Huh?
does the taxes work for this? This is one big plat. Is it the same amount of tax as if it was 20 little ones?
I honestly don't know, that's, the way a property is taxed is completely up to the county appraiser's office. And so,
If they
the
had-
city, has our mill rate set, and that's based on the assessed value set by the county, so I'm not sure
To
how
tell you,
that
as a-
assessment will change.
As an
once-
appraiser-
We consider economic impact and all that stuff.
As an appraiser, James, and when it's a big piece of land like that, it is not worth as much as after it's platted.
Pieces.
And after it's platted in a bunch of lots, then because, they have to put a lot of money in and all that kind of stuff, so it becomes more expensive,
And
of
so
the lots.
all those lots up there to the north have been platted prior, that
Right.
larger portion to the south is currently unplatted.
Right.
So now it's all gonna be platted, and I'm not sure what formula exactly the appraiser's office uses, for that and how that will
I
change.
think they do after the development is worked out because they have to put so much into it.
Yeah, and so I know they take into account, the building permits that are issued and that improved cost, but yeah, the city has nothing to do with how that's assessed.
Right. Boy, you guys are a fountain of information. Okay, this is the last thing on our agenda, right? This
Yep.
is 722 South Fifth Street. Who's handling this one?
I am,
Julie?
and it looks like I put the wrong address, I apologize, it's actually 522 South Fifth.
That's what I thought.
So, yeah, I apologize. It was advertised correctly, I overzealous with the sentence, I guess. So, the applicant of this property, is requesting a special use permit to allow restaurant use in a property zoned office business district at 522 South Fifth Street. Restaurant uses are allowed in the office business district with approval of a special use permit. I'm just gonna turn
It is
on,
722, isn't it? The
Is
address
it-
on the door is 722.
Is it 722?
Yeah,
Well, I guess I typed in 522 here for some reason, so
yeah, one time he did, but this says 722, yeah.
7s and 5. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
All right, you guys are right. I'm wrong. 722 South 5th. I was right when I wrote this. All right, so. I made Michelle cross something out. Let me turn on the zoning here,
I was gonna say if it's not
just so we can have
722.
it. Yep, so, property is surrounded by a mix of uses, including office business, general business, and residential. It's approximately 3 blocks south of Central Business District or the downtown, and about 1 block north of Spruce Street. The applicant had previously applied for a variance to allow a reduction in the number of required parking spaces for a restaurant use here at this location. Parking for restaurant uses is required at a rate of 1 per 3 seats, and the applicant indicated there would be a total of 18 seats in the proposed restaurant, resulting in a need for 6 on-site parking spaces. There is no on-site parking available. However, there's plenty of on-street parking available immediately adjacent, and so the Board of Zoning Appeals did approve that variance request earlier this year. So, the commission may recommend issuance of a special use permit whenever it finds that these 4 conditions are met. The first is that the proposed special use complies with all applicable provisions of the development ordinance. Staff does believe that that criteria is met. Second is that the proposed use at the specified location will contribute to and promote the economic development, welfare, or convenience of the public. The proposed special use will allow a restaurant. To allow a restaurant will contribute to the economic vitality of Leavenworth by allowing for the operation of a revenue-generating business in the space, and to the convenience of the public by providing another restaurant option to patronize in town. The third is that the special use will not cause substantial injury to the value of other property in the neighborhood in which it's located. Staff does not feel that the proposed use will cause any substantial injury to the value of other property in the neighborhood. And the fourth is that the location and size of the special use, the nature and intensity of the operation involved in or conducted in connection with it, and the location of the site with respect to streets giving access to it are such that the special use will not dominate the immediate neighborhood, so as to prevent development and use of neighboring property in accordance with the applicable zoning district regulations. There are no new structures or modifications or construction proposed as part of this special use permit. And again, the Board of Zoning Appeals previously determined that the parking requirements needed for this restaurant use can be adequately met by the existing parking in the area. Notification was sent to property owners within 200 feet of the subject property, as is required by Kansas statute. Since that time, staff has received no inquiries or comments regarding the proposed special use. So staff would recommend approval of the special use permit, and I can answer any questions you might have, and the applicant is here as well.
What was it before?
Yeah, what,
If it's,
The owners could let you know for sure. I believe there was a market in there at one point. I'm not sure if that was the last use.
Is that the corner?
Yes, it's the corner space.
Oh, okay.
when you guys consider economic impact, I'm on the board for the Main Street. We have a plethora of empty buildings in the central business district.
Have what? I'm sorry.
A lot of empty buildings in the central building district. And if we don't put businesses down there, it's gonna have a huge economic impact. And so as we build restaurants outside of that area, or allow use outside of the area, I think it has a negative impact on. I know what you're saying, a restaurant's a restaurant, but I think anything outside of that area is hurting the central district.
What's its actual use now?
It's zoned office business district.
No, but
It's vacant currently.
it's completely vacant.
This space is. It's not being utilized.
Who, are you all here to?
I think Marion had a question.
Yes, if it's approved to change to a restaurant, then it's approved to only change for their restaurant? or it's approved that this building can now be a restaurant forever and ever?
This space could be a restaurant. It could be the proposed restaurant, or at another time, it could be a different restaurant. So we don't issue a special use permit for a specific business use or for a specific business.
don't.
It's for the use overall. So we can't say it's
Reviewed
a,
annually,
what's that?
is the special use permit reviewed annually?
Yep, so that's handled through our city clerk's department. But the special use stays with the property, not with the owner or tenant.
And who owns it now?
The owner is Sung Moxley.
He's right
Okay,
there.
and you're the owner.
Yep, Miss Moxley is here.
Okay. And, you guys have seen the property?
I've been renting for a year now, they'll be a year.
Okay,
I went in and put in a lot of work in the building, I've been renting for her for a year.
Brad, can you state your name
oh,
and
yeah,
address for the
sorry,
record?
That's all right.
Oliver Bradwell.
Mr. Bradwell.
Okay.
Good, and you live here in Leavenworth?
Yes,
Okay, so, you've been working in the building,
Well,
remodeling it?
yeah, I finished it, you went in there and painted, they took and all of that, you know, and all of that's done, I've been done about 6 months ago, so
Okay.
I've been waiting on almost a year to get a permit to go in.
Okay,
So, yeah.
so this is turnkey, pretty much, you're,
The equipment or anything hadn't been put in
When I
yet.
put, we put the little ice box in, and then I had put the chip machine and all of that stuff in, but I supposed to have opened it up twice, you know, the sodas and all that stuff I put in, it's expired, so they had gonna expire twice, so I thought I was opening on these days, and come find out all the paperwork wasn't done. So I'm just trying to get it on where I can get some of the money back.
okay. What impact on the city does it have to change this from a business building to a restaurant?
Well, so a special use permit doesn't change the allowed use of it. It adds another allowed use to it. So
Sure.
it's zoned office business district. That's not changing any of that. It at any point could still be used for any of the uses that are allowed in office business district zoning. So this just allows, in addition to all of those uses, it can now be used as a restaurant as well. So it adds to the potential uses for this property.
Isn't there 722A and B, is that specified? Which, is the whole
22
building?
Office, that's the bottom building, and you got A and B, it's got a couple apartments upstairs.
Yeah, there's a couple.
722s.
No,
Ours
720.
broke down. So any of that can be a restaurant at this point, is what we're saying.
So it's 722, is where they're requesting it for. Like you said, the upper floors are set up as
Those can't be.
residential units right
They
now.
can't be changed.
And it would, yeah, that would not be.
So there's 722A and B.
That's the.
Yeah, those are the
that's
residential
rental
units.
apartments. So
She
that,
stay right next door to it. She attached to the building, she stay right next door to it.
I'm saying, I'm trying to make sure if we approve 722, are we also approving the special
720.
use?
no.
Not 20, but there's a 722A
Yeah,
and
well,
722.
But now
the
we're not-
apartments can't be zoned office building, right? So
Well,
Those-
is the
zoning area.
building,
So
720.
it's just 722, there's 720 is the
Massage
one on the
parlor.
right, 722 is the one on the left that's being requested for. And there's a 722A, which is the apartment upstairs, and a 720A, which is the
Okay.
apartment upstairs. So this is just 722, that first floor space.
First floor only.
Okay.
I think that's a good question though, because it
Yeah.
could have been
Yeah.
The whole thing.
the
Yeah.
whole thing in two different.
But you got 3 different addresses.
Yep.
4 different addresses.
Yeah,
And a special use permit is for 720.
22.
722,
to
just
only-
that
and
first
it
floor
have-
unit on
Does
the
it have a
left.
separate legal now?
No, they're not, it's not split up, it's all one building, but it's just for this space right there.
So does it describe what size that space is in the special use permit? How many square feet is the
So that's,
special
I was
use?
trying to specify, is it written 722? Because 722A is also still 722.
Yeah, 720,
Legally, is the legal description of 722 different than 722?
There's, the legal description is for the property as a whole. There's not a separate legal description for each tenant space in the building.
but now for the special, I don't know,
So they could actually put a restaurant in upstairs too, if we approve this.
No.
You can make it you can make it a condition that what you're approving, I mean, you can specify in your conditions that it's just for the first floor tenant space of 722.
Okay.
Yeah, make it, and if they put in so many square feet. So if they want to, extend that, they have to come back and get a special use.
It would just be, I would stick with, it's just for the first floor tenant space of 722, because again, each tenant space in this building does not have a separate legal description. The legal description is for the property, for the lot, not for each room in the building.
Okay. So we can make it just for 722 and the square footage that it,
I wouldn't do
First floor.
anything with the square footage.
Just the
I
first
would-
floor.
No,
Just-
just
yeah.
specify that it's for the first floor tenant space of 722.
okay. Okay,
This is the building that is within a block of Domino's and the Thai restaurant,
Yep,
correct?
so, yep,
Right across the street.
well,
And down.
down to the corner.
Yep, so this is right here and then
It's
just down.
saturated.
A block is, yep, Domino's and the Thai restaurant that went into Bill's Kitchen. Or not Bill's Kitchen, I'm sorry, Retro Diner.
Yeah, which, to your point, is the migration of restaurants outside of the
Central District.
central district. But that's not anything that we have.
Right,
we
it's
should
not,
consider
it's
it.
not a restaurant trying to be a restaurant in the middle of a residential.
Right.
It's next to.
Correct. Yep.
It's not far from other restaurants.
Yes.
Yep, so it's on Fifth Street and, you know, all along up Fifth Street, there's, you know, like I said, multiple uses. You know, a little further north, there's, you know, commercial buildings.
It's not in the middle of the
There's a
neighborhood.
building up here that's been a couple different restaurants.
Yeah, that little
This
building.
one here, it's
right
been
there.
a bakery, it's been the German restaurant, it's been that New York deli.
Which is great, by the way.
So,
Closed.
They're close.
yeah, so along Fifth, like I said, there are a mix of uses.
There's nobody in that lane again. I think that if we have it for first floor only, but that certain space, because what if they want to expand over to 722A and 722?
722A is upstairs, the first
Oh, I
floor
mean-
is 722.
But what, okay, but all right. But what's the next, can I have a front view of the picture again?
That other,
720.
where the massage, is that what you're asking
That's
about?
720.
That's a different address.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, if they
That
wanted to
stairway-
expand, they would have to come back.
They'd have to come back and, because there's gotta be
It's a
some
different
space.
Well,
behind-
it's a different address, and I would guess there's probably some sort of firewall in there, just with the way building codes are, and so it'd be extremely difficult to combine.
There's two stairways right
Yeah,
there.
there's-
Those are the
Two stairways.
front.
Yeah, and I haven't been in it, but again, I'm assuming there's some sort of firewalls, and it'd be, pretty cost prohibitive to combine that entire first floor into one tenant space.
And can I add, when the property owner did come up, Ms. Moxley came up to fill out the application, I did ask her if she wanted to include the special use permit for 722 and 720. If she was going to start a restaurant in that area as well, and she said no.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, so she'd have to go through the
Yep.
whole
Yep,
process again.
if she ever wanted
Okay.
to, it would be a separate request.
Can I make a motion to approve the
We
special?
need to open the public hearing.
Yep.
Oh,
or open to the public.
Well, it needs
You
to,
have to-
it needs to officially open the
Yes.
public hearing.
Okay, I'm sorry, I officially open it to the public, is that what you're telling me?
Yep, open the
Okay.
public hearing.
Do you have anything to add, sir?
Answer.
Good, appreciate you.
Good. Okay.
Okay, then you would need to close the public hearing.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing now, and then we can take a vote. Is there any discussion between the,
I'll officially make the motion
okay, you can officially make the motion.
to approve the special use permit for 722 South Fifth Street, first floor only, for restaurant use. Is that the right wording? Sorry.
Yep,
I'm trying to
for,
find it.
restaurant use in a property
In
zone,
a
office
property-
business
yes,
district,
yeah.
yes.
Just that section.
Very good, Brian. That's good.
Yep, so we'll make that sure that condition goes forward when this goes to the city commission, should it be approved, that the
Okay.
request is specifically for the first floor tenant space only.
And that 6 cars, that'd be 18 people. I need a second.
I second that motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, I was gonna say, on those that say nay, then I'd have to vote. That's okay.
Can we do a roll call on that vote, please?
Yeah.
Because
sure.
I need to know exactly who's saying
Yay.
yay or nay.
Okay.
Yay.
I can't vote unless there's.
Yes, you-
Oh,
yes, you
can.
vote.
Everybody has to vote.
Okay, I say yay.
You say,
Yay. Yes.
I say nay. I can't
you say nay?
economically justify us having more restaurants outside of central business district. A reason for it. I have a problem with the restaurant coming that's trying to get businesses downtown. Personally.
Okay, so we'll move forward to the city commission as a recommendation of approval. And then the city commission will, make the final ruling on that, and that will be at the first meeting in October, no. Yes, because there has to be a protest period, so it'd be the first meeting in October, which should be October 10th.
First, second, October 1st. First meeting, October is the first, isn't it? October 1? Is it
It's those
first
Tuesdays,
Monday?
it's
Oh,
Sunday.
Tuesday. First Monday.
It's those
Is it
Tuesdays.
first Monday, isn't it?
Yes.
The reason I always want to use a vote
It is a majority.
is nay.
It doesn't have to be
But the
unanimous.
thing is-
No. Yep, so we're good. It'll move forward to city commission for final approval with a recommendation of approval from the planning commission.
No.
Okay, we have no other business on the agenda. We do not have a meeting in October. We have no applications. We will have a meeting in November.
And I apologize again to everyone.
It happens. You're not the first, probably won't be the last.
You're not the first, I actually done that too, so.
I was just